Gathering for Hands Across the Appalachian Trail at Harrisburg, Virginia, 2018.
What you want to do, and you won't see it.
Poster
If it
making
doesn't work, you need to
instructions.
move it over a little bit once you cover it with paint or whatever medium you're going to use.
All right. Good. Thank you.
So let's do.
Yes! Did you think that's what it was? Yeah, but it doesn't have little bumps, so I wasn't sure enough to say.
It's huge.
In this case, there are.
Even the pets were participating. Signs are all done and ready.
Most of you, and I don't often have the opportunity to do this. I'll probably spend the work with you on the next generation of leaders right here.
You're here.
All right. I want to thank Senator Edwards for being here today and Delegate Chris Hurst for being here today. And I just want to, I'm just going to do a number of these things because I don't get a chance to this talk. I want to, other celebrities here are the pilot, Chris Chisholm, co-chairman of Power Preserve Our Water Heritage and
provider of coffee.
Provider of coffee. Murray Johnson, one of the hardest working, dedicated individuals. You're in the exec committee, aren't you?
Yeah.
Of Power. And Save Monroe.
Save Monroe,
Preserve Monroe, everything. The workhorse. I want to thank Casey Jones for, where's Casey? Hi. Thanks, Casey, for giving us all a little bit of not only art lessons, but I thought for me it was a therapy session. You can see that I fell from my son.
Art therapy.
You can see,
It is a thing.
I'm the only one that fell. Does that look like it has tension in it? And I wanted to thank Larry Green of the Newport Recreation Center, who lent us a lot of the equipment that we're using here today. Normally they rent that stuff out. Thanks for coming to this rally for the Hands Across Appalachian Trail. It's one of 3 of these today. It's at the same time. There's one in Loudoun County and there's one in Nelson County. And there's another reason why we chose this date. Today, I didn't know this until Kirk Powers explained it to me. This is the 50th anniversary of the National Trail System Act. And the most important thing I read about that act, it was actually passed by a large bipartisan majority. What does that word mean? Don't know what that means. And at that time, there were only 2 trails, 2 scenic trails, one on the west coast, one on the east coast. The one on the east coast, of course, is the Appalachian Trail, and we're here to celebrate that today. Today, that act has led to 19 historic trails, 11 national scenic trails, and over 1,000 national recreation trails. And we are here to celebrate that today. Aren't we lucky?
And it's the fall equinox.
All right.
So now we're all equal.
I'm sure there's some in Congress who think that, because that's what that means, they think.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So we're here to celebrate these trails, to celebrate that act, and our heritage, our natural heritage, and our dedication, right, to protecting that heritage and the communities we live in, because they give us that heritage, which depend on that heritage, right? Let's do a round of applause to them. To ourselves. And we have 4 speakers, I believe, today. You'll tell me if we have more. Senator Edwards, Delegate Hurst, and Sin, how do you pronounce your last name? Senator Varshana. Really, it's got rolls. I like it, Varshana. And Murray, you're going to speak, right?
Yeah, briefly.
Okay, briefly. And I think that's it.
I'd like to thank Rita Jingles and Donna Pitt, all the associated good people with this crowd.
Good job, Connie. Thanks for mentioning it. All right, Senator Edwards, would you like to lead us off?
Okay.
Thank you.
This is what I'm going to talk about.
Hold it up.
Yeah,
Hold it up.
yeah, there
Hold
we
it.
go.
Let's get a picture here.
Stay in the shade. You'll be more comfortable.
Beth will be proud of you. She's
We can
smiling.
turn.
Okay. Well, listen, Rick, thank you for organizing the others for organizing this. Rick Shingle's been a stalwart going way back at least 3 years, if not more, on funding the pipeline. And I'm delighted to be here with the Appalachian Army and the Air Force. And it's ironic that we're here where you can see a 21-inch pipeline scar for selling these. Now that's only 21 inches.
12 inch.
This is
12 inch.
12.
oh,
It's
12.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a baby pipeline.
This is, well, we'll multiply that by 3.5. You know, 42-inch pipeline is not just 3.5 times or so. It's do a geometrical proportion. It's that's how big it is. 125 feet they're gonna take. That's a lot of feet, you know. And they want to do it on the steepest of all possible slopes in Appalachia and over karst land. This is really totally outrageous. You cannot do it. We know why they're doing it. It's called money, 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 billions and billions and billions of dollars to make billions and billions and billions of dollars. Don't take my word for it, and don't just read the papers and figure it out for yourself. The former head of the FERC several years ago, actually 3 years ago, did an op-ed piece. Former head of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, he said the only reason they're doing these pipelines, this one and the one up the valley, is because the price of natural gas in Europe is high and other parts of the world here is low because of so much fracking. The prices are going down dramatically. They want to take their low price natural gas here, take it to Europe and make more money. That'll cause the price there to go down, the price here to go up. It's all about the economy, stupid. It really is. And that's why we need to fight back, because what they want to do is heck with our way of life, heck with the environment here, heck with the quality of our water system, heck with the future of people living here, because they want to make money, and they're pushing like the dickens to make money as quickly as possible. There's some good news. Chris made the comment some time ago. It's all about delay. He came and spoke before a Senate committee. I had several anti-pipeline bills. I think, Rick, you wrote them, if I'm not mistaken. And they didn't win, of course. We had a long line of people. I don't know how many of y'all were here. They were standing in line to speak, and they did speak for my bills. And Chris spoke, and the senators who had not heard him before, they'd heard his name, they knew all about Chris Hurst, this great Chris Hurst, and they wanted to hear him. The Republicans wanted to hear him. And he did a great job of talking about the importance. Let's delay this thing for a while. They said, no, we cannot delay it. But the good news, bad news is this. The more we delay, the more likelihood is this will not happen.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, we know.
In fact, they've already said they're being delayed to the end of next year. That's a 12-month delay. And what happens when they delay? They spend a lot more money. They're losing money. I mean, lots of money, because these construction guys that are here can't just sit around and do nothing, so they send them someplace else. It takes a while to beef it up, and the courts have been on again, off again, but the fact they've delayed it helps a lot. So as long as there's a delay, there's hope. You know, that's my theme today. And keep up the fight, but also keep in mind we need to educate the public. And we have a lot of friends, not just who live here in Northern Virginia, other people who care about the environment. We've had a big rally in Richmond, didn't we? And when was that? April, I guess it was. And then went to see the governor. Chris was supposed to come too, but he thought it was the Patrick Henry building in downtown Roanoke, not the Patrick Henry.
Rookie mistake.
Not the Patrick Henry building.
You
in
tried.
Richmond.
We accept that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to see the governor. He gave us, he was very generous. I mean, and very, listened very carefully. And one of the persons that spoke was Jacob Howman. He had articles in the paper.
Yeah.
He's a PhD in hydrology. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but a PhD in hydrology from Ottawa originally. Berkeley is where his PhD is from. And he went to Stockholm to do some research. He flew all the way over from Stockholm, Sweden, just to see the governor.
Yep.
And he sat right next to me. He told the governor what he'd been saying in op-ed pieces. And I sent a copy of this to the governor as well afterwards.
Thank
You cannot do this. It's not physically and scientifically possible to build pipelines that don't cause sediment to go down the rivers. In fact, he said 35% of a 45-degree angle was at 12.75% of a degree. Not that much like this, whatever. the sediment will continue to go down. You cannot stop it. It's gravity. It's science. Nobody thinks you can keep the soil up there unless you have a lot of trees. And what are they doing to the trees? They're chopping down all the darn trees.
Removing
And so
them
they're
and burning them.
causing more and more sediment to come down.
That's what they're
In
doing.
Roanoke, we have the Spring Hollow Reservoir. That a large part of the water in the Roanoke Valley is based on the Spring Hollow Reservoir,
Right.
the Roanoke River.
Right.
And how many times has the pipeline come across the Roanoke River? I don't know. I've read
Several.
113 times
I
or
don't
something
know.
like that.
I don't know how many.
So there's a huge problem with the water here in Giles. How many people live on well water? They rely heavily upon well water in Montgomery
Everybody
County,
where the
in Roanoke
pipeline
County.
knows.
Yeah, and it's extremely important if you really want your
Walter Springs.
and you can't fence in the water. You don't know where it comes from. They don't to this day know where the mountain lake water goes. Nobody knows to this day. Where's it going? Nobody
After
has
lots
a
of
clue.
effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of studies.
And so you cannot. But then the other problem is this: we got to continue to preach this. Be missionaries. Go out there and preach, and that is the safety. You know, the largest earthquake in Virginia history occurred here. The epicenter was in Harris in 1897. That wasn't all that long ago, actually. We lived in Virginia. It's been West Virginia as well. Every time you have an earthquake, if you had a pipeline, it's going to burst the pipeline. And guess what? The high pressure natural gas and spark would do what? Explosion. And can you imagine the pipeline explosion around here and the forest fires would go on and on through the townhomes and in commerce? In I-77 up north of Charleston, West Virginia, they had an explosion a couple of years ago. My daughter, who lives in Charleston, sent me on YouTube of this explosion. It went on and on and on. So you got a safety problem, you got a water quality problem, you got an environmental problem, and so preach the word. Go forth and preach the word.
All right.
And thank you all for being here, and let's keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Thank you.
You spoke about the explosion.
Yes.
So let me give you a little bit of interest. It won't leak. It will instantly explode. There's no way around it.
Right.
Physics say this kind of pressure, a leak will cause an instant explosion.
The Hazardous Materials and Pipeline Association says we have 3%.
I like to add two facts to what Senator Edwards was talking about, these landslides and what it can do to a pipe exploding. We've had two of those in the last month. There's been two landslides that resulted in explosions. One in West Virginia, and where was the other one? Pennsylvania. So there you go.
About 3 weeks ago.
It's not a hypothetical.
It's called science, guys. Do we believe in science or not?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Edwards.
I'll stay up here. Pennsylvania or West Virginia, or now we've seen in Massachusetts. When you saw what happened in Massachusetts, what did everybody here think? We thought, what could happen if it's going to come here? What was the headline that came a few days after, though, now those explosions in Massachusetts? Well, the state took over the utility and told the utility company you are no longer allowed to operate in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So don't let anybody tell you that there's not more that can possibly be done. There's always more that can possibly be done, and the fight is far, far from over.
Good.
I want to start, though, first by saying, you know, while Senator Edwards and I have really been trying to lead the charge and convince our Northern Virginia friends that A, yes, people still do drink well water in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Russell Powell's drone
B,
overhead
that
taking
actually,
pictures.
this natural gas is not necessary to be able to supply energy needs for the rest of the Commonwealth. That this is only so that corporations can get a guaranteed 14% profit on getting into the construction business. You know, when utilities and drillers decide, let's make more money, how can we do that? And have the federal government give us a guaranteed profit of 14%. Well, the new way to do that now is in pipeline construction. That's why you all have seen the graphs of pipeline construction going way up since the beginning of this decade, and accidents and problems and incidents going on with pipelines have been going up straight as an arrow since the beginning of this decade. People say, as an argument, you may hear, well, I got a whole bunch of pipelines that run through my house, it's never been a problem. Well, they're 12 inches. They were constructed at a time when they're 2 to 4 inches. They were constructed at a time when there wasn't an urgency to remain financially solvent as a huge multinational corporation. You know, these pipelines are being installed with such urgency that the corporate greed is just naked and totally obvious for everybody to see. One thing that I want you all to know is that, you know, while Senator Edwards and I, and Delegate Rasool, I think, always needs to be included in this conversation as well. We have not succeeded yet. We introduced legislation and it failed. And in my mind, that means that we failed. I think that we have to have that approach. Fighting the good fight is important. But I will be damned if I'm going to leave the General Assembly before we change the surveying law in this Commonwealth. I'll be damned if I leave the General Assembly before we change the way that we actually regulate erosion and sediment control by our Department of Environmental Quality. And we will change the way that people are able to lose their land through eminent domain for corporate gain. This was not for public need, not for public use, not for a future public need, not for a public necessity. It was for one thing and one thing only, to help a struggling company in Pittsburgh. And I'm from Pennsylvania, I know. But believe me, I'm from Philly, so I got no love lost for Pittsburgh. So we got one company in Pittsburgh that is hanging on by a thread.
And losing money.
And losing money, siphoning it left and right. And Virginia is enabling this corporate welfare to allow them to continue. And they're doing it by destroying this one part of our country that I think is truly unique and spectacular. And it is Giles County, Virginia, that has part of the Appalachian Trail. Now, I go down and paddle the Appalachian Trail in Nantahala, the Nantahala National Forest, where you can also literally go right from kayaking, some of the best whitewater in the country, to go hiking the AT and eventually making your way here. And I've been to the Appalachian Trail in Maine, too, when I used to go to school in Boston. The Appalachian Trail is a crown jewel of our country and was instilled and put together back at a time when we valued conservation, when we valued our natural resources, when we had a Republican in the White House who decided that we wanted to create a national park system, that we wanted to preserve what we already have.
Go Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes, knowing that the threat of business was going to potentially destroy our environment. That's why it was done then. We need to be having those same conversations now. And you all have been leading that conversation now for many years. Don't let any politician try and take any credit for any of the work that's been done to delay this pipeline. It's been all because of you. So keep up the fight. I know that it's difficult. I know that it can be stressful. It has literally caused some people to have physical pain because of what's been going on.
I think that all of us are having issues.
And I can tell you from having gone through my own version of pain that it is cyclical. And you go through these peaks and through these valleys. But when you're in a valley, know that these peaks will come again, just like the peaks that surround us, because you all have been lifting each other up. And so you all have lifted us up when we've needed your support, showing up in Richmond to advocate. And we are here to, again, reaffirm not only our commitment to wonderful government projects like the Appalachian Trail system, but also our commitment to you, that when you need us, we're ready to stand up and deliver on that call. So thank you all very much for inviting us to be here. Thank you. Finally, we have this wonderful young support from Virginia Tech to continue to rally us and really remind us too of all of the great work that still continues to go on in the trail. So introduce yourself, folks, because I know normally you guys are probably the only tech kids who don't come up here just to hike the Cascades. So we need to change that narrative, and you guys are helping to do that.
Hey guys, I'm Cena Varshana. I'm here to represent Virginia Tech, the Outdoors Club. Kind of tough act to follow after Senator Edwards and Chris, but we really enjoy you guys being there, and we're really grateful to be here actually as well. So a little bit about myself. I grew up in the mountains of Salem, Virginia, not too far from here. I was also born and raised on well water, which tastes much better than the city water I drink now. But so, as a forestry student, I've worked for the Southern Appalachian Wilderness Stewards, which is a partner organization that works with the Forest Service in helping to protect these public lands, wilderness specifically. But today I come in front of you as a representative of the Outdoors Club, the ATC liaison. So, like other AT maintaining clubs, we have a section of trail that we maintain that happens to be 28 miles. We've already put 430 hours just from the months of January to May. That's comprised of students, locals that live in the area, like John, he's a great help, and our faculty advisor, Christina McIntyre, as well as other faculty that love to come out and help. So the reason we're all meeting here today is because we care about the public lands, and nobody wants the pipeline to come through here. So I'm here to be Virginia Tech's voice in talking about that. During the whole controversy over the pipeline, I haven't heard a single person that's been in favor of it. Everyone's like, this is stupid, why do we have this around? Everyone's in opposition, nobody likes it. We as students feel that there is no place for the pipeline to run through these mountains, which is rich in life, history, and culture. And in the great words of Andrew Downs, the AT is a unit of the National Park System. It should be preserved the same as Yellowstone or Yosemite. Right. One of the most iconic images of Virginia Tech and Blacksburg and these surrounding areas are these view sheds. Like up on Rice Fields, you can see the pipeline cutting through over the mountains, one after another. Kelly Knob, that's right. And as a student and future conservation professional, I can't feel but a little bit disappointed that this has all been going on. I know we've all been fighting so hard, and after hearing Chris and Senator Edwards talk about it, it fills me up with a little bit of hope. But you know, I can't help but still feel sad that a company with enough money is just able to abuse the federal law of the Fifth Amendment that gives the power of taking over the lands because of eminent domain. MVP has been known to make many sloppy mistakes since the beginning of this debacle. The amount of erosion has almost been 2 times of what's been agreed for them to actually build it. And a company that gives so little consideration about the environment and the private landowners, it's not the type of company we want installing such a potentially dangerous technology right in their backyards. So I'm here to give a message on behalf of the 35,000 students at Virginia Tech. As grandiose as that sounds, Blacksburg and Virginia Tech are large stakeholders in this concern as well. This area has become my home and the homes of many students back at Virginia Tech. And we care, we're here to help.
Thank you. Roy, do you want to say something?
That's right.
I see a stump.
A stump speech.
You know, it's political season, and the stump speech, I'm surprised these two didn't jump on the stump. That's where it came from. I'm Maury Johnson, and I'll start my little talk about how I've done in a lot of hearings and things. As a native Giles Countyan, born in Harrisburg, and living in neighboring Monroe County and sharing the mountain from Peters Mountain, that has given me standing in Virginia. That little statement. I just want to say, the little sign I made here, your neighbors in West Virginia deserve clean water too. No pipeline on Peters Mountain or the River Valley. I made that little sign.
Thank you.
I've carried it around. This sign here is made by some of your fellow pipeline fighters, April Pearson Keating, who lives in Upshur County, West Virginia on the ACP, is also on the Power Steering Committee. Her and some great friends in Charleston made this sign, and they gave it to me to get around, and it gets around.
Yes, it does.
All right, Mara Robbins had it last week. Laura Mike had it, so we get this sign around. I first learned about the MVP 4 years ago. I found out shortly after hearing about it, it's come across my farm. And boy, are they coming across my farm. It's near where Paul and Herman, they live just below me. So, and then I found out what I was going to do with the Appalachian Trail. I hadn't been up on the Appalachian Trail for a number of years, raising kids and stuff, but as a young man, I helped what we call the old timers. I guess I'm the old timer now, but we helped the old timers go up there when I was in 4-H and FFA and different, well, I wasn't FFA, 4-H and different things, go up and help maintain the trail. And these were the people that actually built the trail. They helped build the trail. Most of, all of them are dead now. And you've heard stories about how it came to be, the history of the trail. And I said in the video that I made for the Appalachian Trail, it is insane, absolutely insane what they're doing there and everywhere else. So there's a number of West Virginia people who would like to be here. They're here last year, but because of the recent lifting of the 404 stay, MVP has hit Monroe County very hard. It is unreal. They're trying to get all the small streams and wetlands they can get crossed before next Friday crossed. And I had them stop and going across our farm up to a certain point, and it's been a nightmare having Impala. For the last 2 or 3 days, last week or so, it's been a real nightmare. And I know that folks in Virginia have been dealing with that for a long time. But I want to point out some trail heroes. So Appalachian Trail has a little thing they call it trail heroes. They recognize trail heroes. So some of them aren't here. First, Andrew Downs. Andrew would like to be here today, but he's been up in D.C. most of the week dealing with legislatures on this Appalachian Trail. The staff at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy in Roanoke have other things they had to do today, Catherine and different people, so they all said they've sent their greetings. Diana Christophos, former chairman of the Roanoke Appalachian Trail Club, they are inviolable in this fight. Diana wanted to be here, said she's going to try to be here. Tammy Belinsky.
She's in Florida, right?
No, Tammy's home. I talked to Tammy yesterday. About 3 o'clock, she was 6 hours away from home. She had to get her sister off to go to Virginia. She was trying to be here, but she might be here late. I just got this text from Tammy. My body won't let me get in the car. Just got it. Tammy Belinsky, if you've not seen this lady at work, at water board hearings, at FERC scoping meetings, in meeting after meeting, or in court. I went to Richmond for the court hearing. I'm a standing litigant, and I'm over one of the cases in federal court. Went down for that. She is phenomenal. If there's not a trail hero or a Virginian hero in this fight, it's Tammy Belinsky. Give her I hope you see this. Mara Robbins, Russell, Jamie, a whole host of you all, Emily Satterwhite. There's been a lot of people who put their bodies and their time and just every bit of energy, and not only the trail, but our water in both West Virginia and Virginia. You talked about the Nayland National Forest. So 2 years ago, it's a funny story. 2 years ago, Russell and myself and Paul Herman and some other folks got the Wilderness Society in a late January hike to Peters Mountain. And when I heard we was doing this in January, I went and said, hey, you want to have a freeze your ass off party? It turned out to be a warm day. And they got up there and they took a beautiful picture, which turned out to be the iconic picture of Virginia in this pipeline fight. Hint, you're looking at Monroe County, West Virginia.
Right. Yeah.
And it was the picture of the year in Virginia last year. Erica, you. So those are the kinds of people that I took the Wilderness Society guys down to the source of Rich Creek. If you've never seen the source of Rich Creek, it's at the base of Peters Mountain, not far from where this pipeline wants to cross what they call Swiss cheese karst.
Yep.
And this water's coming out of this mountain. This is where Rich Creek starts. It looks like a river coming out of the mountain sometimes. And these guys said, I've been to the Nayland National, been all over the Nayland National Forest, I've been all over the Pisgah National Forest, I've been all over the Smoky Mountains. Never seen anything like this. We got DEP, West Virginia DEP, into that mountain last year after they pulled their 404, 401, and then they realized they couldn't certify this pipeline because it's going to destroy water. Got them into this mountain. We've had cave divers in there now twice. They're just recently in there. The cave in Peters Mountain that no one has ever seen is awesome. We just got a new picture that they just got. I haven't seen the picture, but I'm told it's even bigger than the rooms they found last time. And it's right where the pipeline crosses. Our DEP and our Virginia DEQ is not going right by the people of their consent. So we just keep pressure on. So with that kind of stuff said, I want to thank all of you all for showing up. We got a couple of folks here who walk down. They live right up here on the trail. Raise your hand. These Harrisburg people, they can walk down. Talk to them. They'll tell you about this trail. I'm going to talk about that cake before we cut it, but I want to tell you one more thing. So if you're here, now you know where the trailhead is. If while you're here today, before you leave, and you got 10 minutes, walk out here to the Parish Cemetery. There's a very beautiful old cemetery back here, and it's just a little, it's not even a steep hike. Go out there and see that. Sometime when you want to take a short hike and you don't want to hang to the Angel Rest. So the iconic view from Angel Rest is being destroyed by the Mountain Valley Pipeline over here.
Yep.
That's Peters Mountain. From the top of Peters Mountain, you can see the pipeline coming at you for 40 miles from where it crests Keeney's Knob in Summers County. So this is a good location. We're Angel Rest, Peters Mountain. You can see the scar. This is the pretty side of the scar from the South Dakota line. Go to the other side to see that. But I want to thank all of you all. There's so many people that I've left out. Give that lady right there a big hand.
Yes.
That's Paula. Man,
We love Paula.
Videographer. Paula has recently become kind of ill. She has Lyme disease, and she got herself out here today. Without the work that she's done and the videos she's done, it's been just awesome. So that's it. Thank you all.
Thanks, Maureen. Thank you.
Can we get one picture of us having our hands, holding hands across the Appalachian Trail?
Yeah.
Tell us when you took the picture.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Next thing, taking pictures too. Thanks, everyone.
How many people know Richard Edelsten? Have I ever heard of Richard Edelsten? Richard Edelsten moved into Monroe County 43 years ago and lives in Waiteville. He is the most articulate, one of the geniuses of this thing. He fought the power line.
Yeah, which was easier.
And he wrote the most eloquent declaration for the Forest Service land lawsuit you could see. Last week, some of us got an email from Richard. I've sold my place on Peters Mountain and I'm leaving. I've given all my documents to Bill Wolf.
That's good.
I don't know where I'm going. I'm taking my dog, my tent, and my few possessions I'm taking, and I'm going to California. I hope I find a place that I can harass the Forest Service and protect the redwoods. And he left last Friday. He said he was going to leave Saturday, but he left Friday because he was afraid of the storm. We tried to get him. But Richard Edelsten has been so invaluable in all of this. He attended all of the Forest Service meetings that we had over the years, and they could not come up with anything that he said that wasn't true. And he is. So you may not have heard that name, but you need to know that name because he has been fighting for Peters Mountain and the National Forest for 43 years.
Thank you.
So for Richard, hopefully one of these days he'll see them. Okay.
The event concluded with everyone enjoying cake.
So come here, come get a piece of cake.
I'll assist.
So
Just put it on plates.
this is actually kind of a spatula type